So it's summer and I love to have salads in the summer. In fact, I have salads all throughout the whole year. Always have salad, probably lunchtime, dinner time too. So I need a variety of dressings. For me, I don't like dry food. And so I always like, even if it's the lightest dressing, to drizzle a little something on a salad. And this is my own Caesar salad dressing. When I first went to America, oh my gosh, probably 40 years ago, I was so taken with all the different dressings that they have. And I learned how to make this Caesar salad. It's got 8 ingredients in it, so quite a lot, but hopefully things that you've got in your fridge. So I'm starting off, I've got some garlic in the base of my bowl here, and sometimes to save time I have those little jars of easy garlic just because it saves time, especially when you're coming home from work. So start with some garlic. I've also got in there some mashed up anchovy. I've just got 1 fillet. Now I know some people but you know what anchovies do in a recipe? They give it a lovely kind of saltiness and freshness without it really tasting fishy. So that's my starting point. Now I'm going to drop in 3 egg yolks. Now I never throw away the white. I will always keep that in a jam jar in the fridge because either it will make a lovely meringue, or I actually use it in cocktails quite a lot because it just, when you shake up egg white in a cocktail, you get that lovely kind of frothy top, which is lovely. So just going to stir in my egg yolks and the garlic and the anchovy here. And then the next thing I'm going to add is a good large teaspoonful of, in this instance, Poupon mustard. It's a kind of French mustard and it's very, very mild. You could use French mustard as well, but not English mustard, it's too strong. So just gonna stir that around there. And then the next ingredient I'm going to add is some red wine vinegar. You could use white, I prefer red. I've experimented with a few and that I feel just gives it the right amount of acidity. I might have to adjust the seasoning and taste later, but that's my ingredients so far. So that's my starting point. Now I'm going to add my oil. Now in this instance, I've used groundnut oil. You can use olive oil. My only caution with olive oil, much as I love it, it can be slightly bitter and it can turn a dressing slightly on the sour side. So I use a groundnut oil. You could use vegetable oil or corn oil. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely can use your olive oil if that's what you've got. But I'm just adding that in a very, very slow stream. You can't go too fast with this. You could do this in the blender and just open up the top of the goblet and then slowly drizzle in your oil, but don't put it in all at once because there's a tendency to separate. So now what I've got is a lovely kind of thick mayonnaise, if you can just see. I've used Burford brown eggs, which I love, and their yolks are almost orange. So now what I'm going to add is just a dash of Tabasco. Go more if you like it quite on the sort of spicy side. And also I'm going to add a teaspoonful of Worcester sauce. Now this just spices it up a little bit and I keep stirring and adding. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice. Again, probably about a teaspoon. You're going to have to be prepared to taste, just like you see them doing on MasterChef. Just taste as you go so you can just see what it's going to taste like. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. You don't need too much salt if you've used anchovies because they are naturally salty, but lots of lovely cracked fresh black pepper here as well. And then I'm ready to add my Parmesan. So I used half a cup of oil and I'm going to use half a cup of Parmesan. And I've got some which I ground before. Going to add that all together here. And I leave a little bit of Parmesan just to sprinkle over my salad at the end as well. So I'm just going to give this a taste live on air. So they always say it's delicious, don't they? Whatever it tastes like, they always say it's delicious. So I'm going to be honest, is this, oh my gosh, that is so good. You have got full flavour. It is delicious. And I'm just going to use that to dress some leaves. I prefer a crispy lettuce, something like a cos or an iceberg lettuce. Nothing too soft because it's too heavy and it's going to make everything flop. So I'll dress my leaves, and that is pretty much it. If you want to add some croutons, you can. If you want to add some prawns or some chicken, just to make that a more substantial meal. But I love it really simple. So that's my Caesar salad dressing. It's summer and I wanted to share some of my favourite dressing recipes, and I used to eat in a French restaurant in London. It was very authentically French, it's not there anymore, but I absolutely loved the dressing that they served on literally just leaves. It was a green salad, sometimes I have a little bit of onion on top, but the dressing was so good you didn't eat anything else. So I've just quite good at mimicking things, and so I figured it out and I thought I'd share it with you because I love it. So I make everything in a jam jar. If you've listened to me before, you'll know I love jam jars, they're so good. And so I start off with about a teaspoonful of mustard. Not English, you can use French, or I love this Poupon mustard, which is quite mild. Now you want to get some acidity into your vinaigrette before you start adding oil. So I've discovered, and I love it, white balsamic. Now you can use white wine vinegar, you could use cider vinegar, any vinegar but malt vinegar. That should be actually banned from society if you ask me, it's disgusting. But anyway, I love this white balsamic vinegar. And I'm also going to add just a teaspoonful of lemon juice. So that is my acidity that I'm getting started with. Then I'm going to add 1/2 cup of olive oil. Now I'm just going to pour this in here. You're not going to have the problem with separation that you do with mayonnaise because you're going to give it such a vigorous shake. You could actually do this in a blender if you want, but I hate washing up. So I try and use as few implements as I possibly can. And so I'm going to now shake those ingredients vigorously together. I've got some friends coming over for supper tonight, so I like to get as many things done as I can. I'm actually filming this in the morning. Now what I'm going to add is a little bit of sweetness. Now, this is my honey. It's quite stiff honey. I'm going to actually, rather than measure it, just pour it straight in. Again, about a teaspoonful. I put this in some hot water just to loosen up the honey there. I'm now going to add just a little bit of salt. Don't go too heavy on the salt. Some pepper, and I'm going to give it one more shake. Then I'm going to add my magical ingredient. Give that lovely vigorous shake. If you've got kids that you're working with, then they like to do things like this and be a kitchen helper. Now I'm going to add something quite unusual, and that's a little bit of cream. I'm using a plant-based cream here because we've got some vegans coming tonight, so this will be nice for them to use. And I'm going to start with just 2 teaspoonfuls. That probably is enough for me to be able to get the creaminess in the vinaigrette. Could never work out. I thought they did it with eggs, but then I realised, no, they actually do it with cream. So I'm just going to have a little taste here, see if it needs any adjustment. Oh my gosh, it is perfect. It's got a little saltiness, it's got a little sweetness, it's got that kiss of cream in it, and I think you'll love my creamy vinaigrette. I love salads all throughout the year, but I particularly love this one in the summer, and it is my turmeric tahini dressing. It is so simple to make and people will love it. I serve it sometimes over grilled vegetables. It's particularly great with aubergine and some leaves and some chickpeas. That's delicious. But you play around with it because you're going to love it. You could actually use it as a dip, but I'm going to show you how it's a pouring dressing. So I start with 2 tablespoonfuls of hummus. Now I make my own normally at home, but to save time, absolutely use a tub of hummus, and you can use the low fat. It won't make any difference at all. And I put 1 teaspoonful of powdered cumin in here as well. Now I'm going to add some tahini. Now tahini is a bit badly behaved, to be honest. It separates and it's very, very gloopy, but I'm going to use 1 tablespoonful. The oil tends to separate. out of it. And I'm going to pop that in there. It's a lovely oil and sesame kind of blend. And I'm going to start mixing that together. And then I have something that is going to turn this into the most fabulous dressing. If you've ever seen turmeric shots, again, some people make their own. I don't really like to work with fresh turmeric, you know, because it stains absolutely everything. I nearly wrecked this surface once with bad turmeric stains. They came off, but not without a great deal of effort. I'm going to put some lemon juice in there as well, about a teaspoonful. Now I'm going to take my turmeric shot. You can see I got that on special offer. But they're quite expensive, so I can't watch out for these. And I freeze them as well, so Mark loves them. So I'm going to slowly start blending in my turmeric shot. So this is actually a really lovely, healthy dressing as well. And it's got a very, very curious, delicious taste. Quite a Middle Eastern, maybe Greek even, taste. Although Greeks don't really eat hummus. So I'm just going to add that together, and there you have it. That is my beautiful tahini turmeric dressing, and that is so easy, and you can just use that as a lovely pouring dressing. I love to share my salad dressing recipes, and this is so simple. You will not believe it, and you won't believe how delicious it is. It is a warm barbecue dressing. And I had this served to me once in the States, and I thought, my gosh, that's got to have so many ingredients in it. And then I found out it just has 2. So if you're doing a barbecue and you want to have a lovely big salad, maybe you're hosting quite a lot of people, my favorite is to take some lettuce, ideally some crunchy lettuce, and I love to have some crispy bacon bits, and I love to have some nuts. So what I do is I saute my bacon, take it out, and then there's a little bit of oil that's come from the bacon, very tasty. So then I take a handful of different mixed nuts and just lightly toast them. And then in the same juices, I toast some croutons. Just cut up some bread and just basically toast those through so they're lovely and brown. Then I take a boiled egg, maybe a couple of boiled eggs, maybe some little quail's eggs. That is my salad, but it needs a really tasty dressing to just bring it alive. And so what I do is I take any barbecue sauce. I kind of like this one, but I just go, when I'm in the supermarket, I go for whatever looks attractive. And what you do is you pour some barbecue sauce. It's a bit of a judgment from you, depending on how many people you've got. But I would say probably around 4 tablespoonfuls of your barbecue sauce. You can actually do this on the barbecue as well. So you put it in a pan and you stir it through until it becomes hot. You don't need it to bubble, literally just bring it up to temperature. Then you take exactly the same amount of yogurt. I'm using a 5% super thick creamy yogurt here, which is lovely. You can use 0%. You could use some fromage frais. That works as well. You could use some creme fraiche. But you take it off the heat, and then you literally just blend the 2 together. And when everybody's seated at the table, you just drizzle the hot barbecue sauce over everything, and it is delicious. So have fun.